Chu Feng's career was ruined by his teammate accidentally breaking his Achilles tendon due to refusing to play a match fixing. Reborn in 2017. Chu Feng is still a Manchester United youth team player. Manchester United, in dire straits, has once again fallen into a desperate situation. Will Mourinho's second-year championship rule be broken? Who can help Ibrahimovic achieve his Champions League dream? Ibrahimovic. Perhaps Chu Feng is God. Cristiano Ronaldo. If Real Madrid has a Chu style, I think there is a chance to achieve 5 consecutive Champions League titles. Messi. If given the opportunity, I want to be Chu Feng's teammate. Keywords of the novel. Football. Starting from the Ronaldo template with no pop-ups, football. Starting from the Ronaldo template, download the complete set of TXT, football. Starting from the Ronaldo template, read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Rebirth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Rebirth August 6, 2017. Parallel World. England. Carrington Training Base. Chu Feng rubbed his loose eyes and yawned. Damn it, with a 2.0 lead at the beginning, they can all be overtaken by Copenhagen, truly deserving of Tengahi. No. Chu Feng suddenly widened his eyes and looked around incredulously. Cramped rooms, familiar posters. Chu Feng walked quickly towards the mirror, his pitch-black pupils reflecting the youthful green face. Did you sleep too late last night? Or did I travel back 10 years to the Manchester United youth team? This is too unscientific. Chu Feng woke up like a dream, quickly picked up his phone from the table, and suddenly stopped again. At this time, I should still be sleeping, right? Chu Feng sat on the bed, lost in deep thought. In his previous life, his family smashed pots and sold iron for him to go abroad to play football, and he did not disappoint his expectations. It was this year that Chu Feng won a professional contract with Manchester United's first team through his own efforts. But fate's trickery left people helpless. A certain sports meeting was about to begin, and Chu Feng was suddenly called up. Previously, he had also played for the Chinese Olympic team and the Chinese youth team, but due to being out of place with those teammates and experiencing intense conflicts, he almost got into the hospital and was considered blacklisted. Who knew that Li Tai would suddenly summon him back to China? After returning, everything was normal, and he led the team through the game until they reached the semi-finals. The coach's calendar suddenly hinted subtly that they would let go and let the opposing team win by a narrow margin. Chu Feng is very stubborn, he doesn't want to play fake football. But unfortunately, his teammates succumbed to pressure, and he could only fight alone towards the end of the competition. Chu Feng dribbled past 5 people on the sidelines, shooting from a distance outside the penalty area and scoring a brilliant world goal, drawing an absolute draw with the opponent. Although I still lost the game in the end, training in 2 days. Chu Feng was accidentally stepped on by his teammate and broke his collateral ligament. Not only was it reimbursed for the entire season, but it also left serious sequelae. But at that time, the supervisory leaders may have chosen to settle things for the sake of the overall situation, or perhaps they also participated in it. In order not to affect one's future. So he secretly found Chu Feng and threatened and lured him. Under the influence of power, the media published an article. Manchester United's young player suffered ligament rupture due to excessive training. Years later, the deeds of Li Tai and others have been exposed. Chu Feng just woke up. He drew with his opponents in the past, causing Li Tai and his leaders to lose a large amount of money. Chu Feng couldn't help but fall into despair. So you all use football as a tool for wealth and promotion. Your future is comfortable now. What about mine? No one will care. This unfounded injury not only caused Chu Feng's professional contract to fly away, but also completely widened the gap between him and his teammates. Former roommates Rashford and McTominay have both made it to the starting lineup, but he hasn't received any consecutive contracts. Now that he has a chance to do it again, he naturally won't make the same choice. Whoever loves to go to that big dying vat, even if there is a falling out, he will definitely not go back to China. As for changing nationality, that's even less likely. Although the Chinese Football Association is disgusting, it has nothing to do with the country. During his years in Manchester, he often had enthusiastic fans come to visit him and send some special products from home. No matter what, I cannot disappoint the expectations of those people. If Chinese football is not strong enough, they will change their nationality and transfer to other countries. Although they say they are fighting for higher glory and dedicating themselves to football. But is it really no different from a traitor? The World Cup, there is no such thing as it. As long as you perform well enough in the club, the future is also worth looking forward to. He wants to prove with facts that Chinese people can also play football well and occupy a place in the world football world. But if you are of Chinese descent, it is understandable not to choose China, as no one wants to wade into muddy waters. Chu Feng had read a similar novel in his previous life. Say it again. If it weren't for extreme disappointment with the Chinese national football team, who would have chosen other countries? The green system is officially launched, scanning host information, filtering adaptation templates. A cold mechanical sound sounded. Chu Feng was startled, but soon regained his composure. He was not the same rough guy as before. System. I have never eaten pork, I have always seen pigs run. During that period of injury and lethargy, Chu Feng spent day and night browsing football novels, seeking comfort in warm words. Have you become the chosen son of heaven? As white light flashed by, an empty semi-transparent panel emerged in the air. Name. Chu Feng, age. 17, attribute. Template. None, module. None, template filtering completed. Giggs Welsh Wizard template. Cristiano Ronaldo's Golden Edge template. Henry's Highbury Express template. Rivaldo's Blade template. Ronaldinho Football Elf template. Ronaldo Alien template. Familiar faces appeared on the system interface one by one. Chu Feng analyzed calmly. Which template is the strongest among them? There is actually no need to compare, the most suitable is the best. Chu Feng looked at himself in the mirror, about 185 centimeters tall and weighing 78 kilograms. If matched according to body shape and muscle mass, each template seems to be quite good. Extracting, congratulations on obtaining the Ronaldo Alien template. Chu Feng showed an incredulous expression. Do non-chieftains also have a day of transit? Ronaldo template. 19-year-old FIFA World Player of the Year, 20-year-old Golden Ball. At the peak of his debut, no one has surpassed him to this day. 2 World Cups and 1 Asian Championship, 3 FIFA World Player of the Year awards, 1 MVP and 1 Golden Boot. It's hard not to appreciate anyone who has watched him play football. But my position is on the left winger. Is Ronaldo's template a bit inappropriate? But he thought about it and realized that when the Luo first debuted, he had not yet fully developed his body frame and walked a fast and agile route, playing as a winger. Moreover, with his terrifying technical characteristics, he can fully serve as a versatile frontcourt player, and apart from heading, he is basically a perfect presence. Capable of breaking through, shooting, and passing the ball, having speed, body, and skills. Moreover, even with templates, it doesn't mean he has to play football 100% that way. Because templates are just a tool. If influenced too much by it, it will actually put the cart before the horse and become a puppet-like existence. He can completely design a more comprehensive career path for himself according to the development trend of modern football. After Rebirth, every step must be taken with caution. Chu Feng was preparing to go downstairs for training when countless memory fragments suddenly flooded his mind, and then he fell asleep in a daze. The next day, Chu Feng jumped up from the bed, frantically observing the surroundings. After a while, he finally focused on opening the system panel and saw it clearly written on it. Ronaldo Alien Template. Later, Chu Feng became curious about the location and opened his attributes. Disc 79, 97, passing. 68, 86, shooting. 69, 95, speed. 74, 94, body. 67, 92, defense. 35, 51, explanation. The values in parentheses represent the upper limit that the host can reach through training, and can. Chu Feng rubbed his temples and studied them carefully. Each value contains multiple dimensions. For example, shooting, including long-range shots, arcs, set pieces, headers, and so on, is a comprehensive data. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Mourinho's Sorrow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Mourinho's Sorrow. The true meaning of the template is to elevate the talent limit and enable him to quickly improve his strength through training. As for Bayu, directly transforming the entire person and obtaining various skills, it's better not to daydream about getting something for nothing. However, Chu Feng is already satisfied and cannot be too greedy. After all, I don't know how many people have exhausted their assets and cannot do it again. I don't know if it's possible to continue breaking after reaching the limit of attributes. It's better not to think too much, just focus on doing things right in front of you and strive to get into the first team before the start of the season. Chu Feng silently set a goal. He believes that with his own efforts and system, he can definitely establish a foothold at Manchester United and then seek better development. In fact, Manchester United is not weak at the moment and is very suitable as a starting point for their career. In Mourinho's second year of coaching, the team also had high-level players such as Ibrahimovic, Pogba, and Lukaku. Moreover, last season Manchester United had as many as 7 injured players, almost half of the team was missing. But in such a severe situation, Mourinho led the team to win 3 minor championships, namely the Europa League, Community Shield Cup, and English League Cup. It is sufficient to reflect the coach's level nowadays. Manchester United has sufficient competitiveness in all aspects and even hopes to compete at the top of Europe. Dong dong dong. A rapid knocking on the door rang out. Scott, what's wrong? Chu Feng pushed open the door and saw a familiar face, asking in confusion. The two were roommates before and also teammates of Manchester United U18. Chu, why are you not in a hurry at all? The head coach is coming to visit the youth team's training today. McTominay said anxiously. When he was in the youth team, he was often bullied by his peers due to his late physical development. At that time, only Chu Feng was willing to stand up and help him. But he grew from 170 centimeters to 190 centimeters last year, and then no one dared to bully him again. Don't worry, don't worry. Chu Feng showed a brilliant smile and punched McTominay. Then he added, let's go, I've already packed my things. Before McCormick could react, he was dragged out of the dormitory. Unconsciously arrived at the training ground. Chu Feng looked at the famous football star comics on the walls on both sides. Bart, Best, Giggs, and it also added active players such as Pogba and Rashford. Oh, when can I be painted on the wall? McTominay said enviously. You see, you're in a hurry. There is a saying in our hometown. You have to take a bite to eat, and you have to walk step by step. I believe you will eventually become one of them. Chu Feng patted his shoulder, his tone full of confidence. Oh, thank you then. McTominay looked at his good brother with a strange gaze, feeling that something was wrong with him, but he couldn't say it. Forget it, I still don't want to think about it. It's a brain teaser. The two walked into the training ground together and found Mourinho with his arms wrapped around the edge of the field. They exchanged a glance and immediately accelerated their speed to run over. Madman doesn't like players who are late. Training starts at 10 a.m. and there must be no 1-minute delay. Because he believes that this is the most basic requirement for the training discipline and professional spirit of football players. Mourinho looked over with a cold face, glanced down at his watch, and nodded without leaving a trace. Chu Feng and his companions immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Since Mourinho coached Manchester United last season, he has arranged specialized training and video analysis sessions for young players, with the aim of helping them gradually adapt to the training mode of the first team. At the same time, we will personally inspect the training results of the players on non-match days this week, which means placing more emphasis on youth training. He also gained from this, with outstanding performances from the youth teams Tuanzebe and McTominay, allowing him to have extra options when the wave of injuries approached. But recently there has been another issue that has been bothering him. Everything is ready except for the winger. Manchester United's existing players. Martial has enough ability, but when he plays, he is both divine and ghostly. Although Lingard is very diligent, he can only occasionally shine. Mata is only good at cutting in the middle, but lacks speed and dribbling. Ashley Young turned into a glass man, constantly injured. Mourinho is very worried and is thinking about suitable candidates in the transfer market. Lemma from Monaco, Sanchez from Arsenal, and Mahrez from Leicester City. The morning training is very simple. Start with basic exercises such as warm-up, short passes, long passes, and shooting. Bang! Chu Feng hits the ball with a burst shot. The football is like a shell coming out of the barrel, heading straight towards the left side of the goal. Manchester United U21 goalkeeper Dean's reaction was quickly diving into the air. But the power carried by the football was too great, hitting his arm and bouncing into the goal. Mourinho raised his head slightly and carefully scrutinized the young man who was training diligently. It's a bit interesting. As one of the top coaches in football, he is able to judge the specific strength of players from many details. Just now he noticed that Chu Feng's shooting action was very standard, using his thighs to drive his calves and transmit power to the football with maximum efficiency. He had previously learned about Chu Feng, the main left winger of Manchester United U21, and had intended to promote him to the first team this year. But what Manchester United lacks now is instant combat power, and there isn't that much time for him to slowly grow. The basic training was quickly completed, and the players, led by the assistant coach, were divided into Team A wearing red vests and Team B wearing white vests. Although it's just an internal training match, everyone won't relax and will do their best to perform at a better level. According to statistics, only 0.1% of young players can play in the youth training camps of the 5 major leagues. The cold numbers represent the cruelty of football, and everyone wants to enter the first team. It's very simple. Use your strength to fight for it. Only the winner is qualified to stand on this narrow single wooden bridge leading to success. After the start of the team training match, Team A quickly penetrated through the middle. At the age of only 17, Gomez held the ball and pushed forward, his center of gravity shaking continuously, passing the defensive player who came forward to steal. He is Nani's cousin and a genius player for Manchester United. The midfield of Team B was easily punctured like paper. McTominay approached with a deceptive approach, wanting to use his own advantage, engage in confrontations to interfere, and cooperate with teammates to complete steals. But the latter is very clever, starting early and passing long passes. The football fell precisely onto the right side of the road. Mitchell steadily dribbled the ball and frequently coordinated with Harlop in the middle, passing it from the bottom to the center. Center Dean grabbed the spot first and headed the goal. After scoring the goal, the players of Team A exchanged high fives to celebrate and nervously looked towards the sidelines. But after discovering that Mourinho's face remained unchanged, they all sighed and still couldn't impress the head coach. When you receive the ball in midfield later, I will pull the ball to create space, and if there is a chance, you can pass the ball to me. Chu Feng pointed to the side and whispered softly. No problem. McTominay scratched his head. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Eating more when it's good to eat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Eating More When It's Good to Eat. The competition has restarted. After B team kicked off, they immediately faced fierce pressure from a team. McTominay catches the ball. Although he is tall and powerful, his movement speed is not slow, and he has strong ability to hold the ball, daring to make movements. The sudden spike made Gomez pounce and decisively pass the ball to the left. Chu Feng quickly turned around to observe and saw the defensive player charging towards him, cleverly swinging his heel. Pop. The football slides out a beautiful crease, passing by from the side. The control of timing and position is very sophisticated. Mourinho muttered to himself, then locked his gaze on the boy. Chu Feng turned around and dribbled the ball in one go. Every touch of the ball is just right, while observing the position of the teammate with extra light. Mitchell's defense speed is very fast. He is the main left back of the England national youth team, not only with extremely high physical fitness, but also skilled in steals. If nothing unexpected happens, he will be promoted to the Manchester United first team next year. As the distance between the two becomes closer and closer, everyone in the room turned their gaze. Chu Feng no longer hesitated, his figure flashed, and his momentum broke through from the outside. Mitchell decisively reached out to steal. But at this moment, Chu Feng lifted his right foot, quickly cut the ball, and accelerated along the inside line. Team A's centre-back Tuanzebe rushed out to assist in defense. But it's already too late. Chu Feng adjusted his posture slightly. Bow and arrow. Bang. With the sound of exploding explosions. Football is like a shell coming out of the barrel. Manchester United youth team goalkeeper Kieran threw himself into the air, stretching his body to the extreme. But the angle of football flight is too tricky, rubbing his fingertips to score the goal. The training ground suddenly fell silent. Anyone can see how outstanding Chu Feng's performance was just now, even surpassing the level of the youth team. Chu, you're so handsome. When did you practice this move? Why haven't I seen it before? You don't have any secrets to hide from your good friend, do you? McTominay chattered excitedly. Mainly because you passed it well. Chu Feng smiled and said. He had a different feeling when he touched the ball just now. Is it the effect of increasing the talent limit? It's nothing to do with me. Mitchell's fool, you've been living a clean life, it's really refreshing. McTominay scratched his hair and said loudly. Not far away. Upon hearing this, Mitchell's face instantly darkened. He used to like to bully the thin and weak McTominay with his teammates, but later got into a fight with Chu Feng over this matter. Who knew that Chu Feng didn't want his life, just caught him and beat him up alone. In the end, both of them were unable to participate in the training for a week. After understanding the situation, Sir Alex Ferguson harshly criticized them and warned them to solve any problems on the field in the future. But when the two faced each other before, each had their own victory and defeat, and no one could say that they were stabilizing each other just now. Due to Chu Feng's actions, it was difficult for him to predict his thoughts and he was thrown off in embarrassment. Mitchell grew angrier and angrier as he thought, spitting fiercely, ready to retrieve the scene. The competition continues. Under the organization of McTominay, Team B gradually shifted their attacking focus to the left flank. A 30-meter area. Chu Feng received a pass from his teammate. Milche didn't believe in evil yet and fiercely rushed over. He left little reaction time for the other party. I can definitely grab the ball. Chu Feng remained calm and gently pushed his right foot forward. Pop. Football is like an agile swimming fish, drilling out from under Mitchell's crotch. Crisp and neat. Free-spirited and free-spirited. Milch's face suddenly changed, his mind instinctively stopped, but his body kept directing. The ultimate comical fall. Chu Feng continued to run wildly with the ball. The same script. Tuanzebe's reaction was quickly approaching the defense and blocking most of the shooting space. But Chu Feng chose to strike horizontally in the middle. The football rolled rapidly against the grass. McTominay followed up with a forward thrust, pushing the defensive player away. Pull out your legs and shoot angrily. Bang! The football headed straight towards the upper right corner. The gate guarded by Kieran was once again breached, and he got up and angrily scolded his teammates. Milcha's face was full of confusion. Is the first time luck, the second time still luck? On the side of the court. Focus on Chu, is there a Premier League B League the day after tomorrow? Mourinho turned his head to the side and asked. Well, I will arrange it. Boss, are you very interested in that kid? Assistant coach Faria nodded. He met Mourinho in Barcelona in 2001 and has been in a relationship for 16 years, making him the person who knows each other the best. Nonsense, are you not interested? The team is currently lacking players who are good at breaking through, and if you take a closer look, is Chu's technical style very familiar? Mourinho said angrily. Boss, do you know which player I liked the most when I was a fitness coach at Barcelona in 1996? Faria chuckled. Ronaldo. At that time, you loved and hated him, and even made a training plan specifically for him, but he didn't appreciate it. Mourinho recalled the past and the chill on his face gradually dissipated. Cough cough. I feel like this kid is quite similar to Ronaldo. Did we find something valuable? Faria's expression was slightly embarrassed. It's too early to say these things now. Tomorrow you record his data, and I have to lead the team to North America to participate in the International Champions League. Mourinho finished speaking and turned around to leave. Because football is a competitive sport, what can be seen in training is limited, and whether one can perform well in matches is ultimately unknown. The morning training ended quickly. Chu, are you hiding something from me? Otherwise, how could you cross Mitchell like crossing the morning road? McTominay's voice was loud, wishing it could be heard by the whole world. Stop talking nonsense, let's hurry up and go eat. Chu Feng hooked his shoulder and pulled the person over. On the green field. Mitchell's face turned pale, and he couldn't help but doubt life. Did he really change his diet? After all, it is not easy to make a proud person accept the fact that their arch-rivals are stronger than themselves. Oh, today's wild mushroom chicken skewers are really good. I heard there will be sweet flour brewed chicken tomorrow. McTominay kept stuffing food into his mouth. He is in the stage of growing his body, and according to the nutritionist's arrangement, he needs to consume a large amount of energy every day. If it's delicious, eat more. You may not be able to eat it in the future. Chu Feng smiled and said. How could it be? We are sure to make it to the first team this season, and we can eat whatever we want. McTominay is full of confidence. Chu Feng remained silent. If following the original trajectory, Manchester United has completely entered the Ten Hag era, and these players who are rooted in youth seem to be unpopular. It's uncertain which day I will be banned from eating at the table, so I can only tragically ask my teammates to help me pack and take it back. However, after being reborn, it should have a huge impact on the future. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Opportunities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Opportunities. They quickly cleared the food in front of them, got up, and walked outside, encountering an acquaintance. Chu, long time no see, I miss you so much. Rushford gave a warm embrace. The two have been roommates for 3 years, and their relationship is naturally extraordinary. I watched the friendly match the day before yesterday and your performance was great. Did you secretly practice behind my back again? Chu Feng's eyebrows twitched. How could it be? I'm still a simple teenager, not Scott. Rashford pursed his lips and put on a dissatisfied expression. Cut, you're still innocent. Last week, I saw you and Mary sneaking out and I didn't know what they were doing. Before McTominay could finish speaking, Rashford forcefully covered his mouth. Mary. Tom's daughter from the small shop at the entrance. Do you know what his relationship is with the Sir? By the way, I remember Mary was just 18 years old, you beast. Chu Feng showed a disdainful expression, not expecting that although Rashford appeared honest on the surface, he was so charming behind the scenes. A large group of people walked in while the three of them were joking. Chu Feng instinctively looked up. Ibrahimovic, Pogba, Lingard, Lukaku, Rojo. It has to be said that Manchester United's current lineup is very luxurious, not only with Mr. Billion, but also with its own system of Swedish gods. Ibrahimovic nodded lightly and said hello. He is very kind to young team players and often shares his game experience, such as how to run and how to shoot. Moreover, due to Ibrahimovic's passionate and domineering personality, most young team members regard him as a role model and goal to motivate themselves. Everyone brushed past. Alas, when can I become a player like Zlatan? Said McTominay with a look of envy on his face. TSK, you're so anxious. You're only 21 years old, how come you talk like an old man, only able to sigh and sigh? Be full of confidence in yourself, I have always believed that you are the best. Chu Feng vigorously patted his friend's shoulder and began infusing chicken blood. McTominay clenched his fist tightly, and his experience of being bullied as a child often made him doubt his abilities. After returning to the dormitory, Chu Feng took a shower, washed away the sticky sweat, and quickly fell asleep. In addition to training, the youth team also needs to attend cultural classes every day. The nearest training base is St. Bede College, which requires a tuition fee of £12,000 per academic year. Although the club will bear a portion, it is still difficult for Chu Feng, who comes from a poor family, to bear it. So he chose Barlow RC High School, which is 10 kilometers away. Chu Feng's original focus was on football, and he basically didn't study it seriously. In the end, he didn't even receive the advanced level certificate in British high schools. But now he is very clear that learning is indispensable. Not only can it improve one's tactical understanding level, but it can also add a layer of insurance for the future. 2 points. Chu Feng dragged up the drowsy McTominay and set off for Field 9. There are many young players who choose to practice in the afternoon. After all, most people in the world are not geniuses, and it takes sweat and effort to narrow the gap. Time flies by rapidly during training. Chu Feng wiped away the sweat from his forehead and focused on calling out the system panel. Disc 79.04, 97, passing. 68.12, 83, shooting. 69.06, 95, dot. Although there is only a slight change in the numerical value, it still makes people feel agitated. Why? Because people become very motivated when faced with progress bars that can grow. Chu Feng wished he had 48 hours a day. However, he understands that scientific training is equally important, otherwise there is a high possibility of injury due to overtraining. Chu Feng looked up at the sky dyed red by the sunset, revealing a brilliant smile. He is full of expectations for the future. After dinner, Chu Feng excitedly rode a second-hand mountain bike and arrived at Barlow RC High School in less than half an hour. The GCSE program in the UK typically takes 2 years to study 8.11 courses, which can be either compulsory or elective. Chu Feng was selected according to the school's requirements and minored in Spanish. Because he feels that he may go to La Liga in the future, learning the language in advance can help him integrate into the team more quickly. Chu Feng greeted a few friends and walked straight to the corner of the classroom, which was a very standard sports student seat. Let's talk about it today. 3 hours later, Chu Feng rubbed his sore and swollen temples. He didn't feel too tired, but his heart became even more determined. Because he has experienced the trials and tribulations of society. The next day, Manchester United is embarking on the journey to the International Champions League, and countless Red Devils fans are looking forward to defeating Barcelona and achieving the opening red of the season. On the green field. Towards the end of the training, assistant coach Faria gathered the players with a tactical board. Everyone understands the highlight is here. The first round of the English Premier League B. Manchester United U21 vs West Ham United U21. Don't be fooled by the poor performance of the Hammer Gang's first team. But their youth training camp can cultivate many famous football stars, such as Ferdinand, Carrick, Lampard, Mascherano, and so on. West Ham United defender Rice, who has been widely discussed recently, not only has excellent defensive interception ability, but also has the ability to dribble vertically and break through, which can help the team break through the deadlock. And he has just been elected as the best player in last season's Premier League B, and it has been confirmed that he will be promoted to the first team after the start of this season. Since their 2 consecutive championships 4 years ago, Manchester United's youth team has been performing worse and even falling to the middle and lower levels of the standings. If it weren't for Mourinho's forced increase in investment in youth training, the future would probably have been even worse. The starting lineup is as follows. Kieran, Mitchell, McTominay, Gomez, as names are constantly spoken out, some are happy, while others are sad. Finally, on the left side, Chu. Don't be too happy when your name is pronounced. If you don't behave well, I will immediately replace you. Faria's face remained expressionless and her voice was very cold. He learned from Mourinho and thinks it's very exemplary and can hold down players. McTominay breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Chu Fong with a frown and eyes. Next, let's talk about tomorrow's tactical arrangements. Faria nodded in satisfaction as he saw the serious expressions on the players' faces. Firstly, we need to maintain the stability of the third line, and after building a solid defense, we need to find a reasonable counterattack point. The main attacking direction is shifted to the left side, which has a strong impact on the opponent's defensive hinterland, while also allowing for simple coordination with the center. Simply put, it's a defensive counterattack. But it has a strong personal style. Whose is it? Of course it's Mourinho. Most people think he's more conservative in his playing style. But in fact, he is a person who loves to attack at heart. The purpose of defending and counterattacking is to be able to kill with one move and improve the efficiency of the attack to the extreme. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Death Pendulum. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Death Pendulum 2 days later. The old stadium is 5 kilometers away from Old Trafford. Don't think too much except for important matches such as the Youth FA Cup. Young players do not qualify to use Old Trafford. As the 2 teams of players walked into the green field, there was a patter of applause coming from outside the railing. Due to the fact that the English Premier League has not yet started and the youth team does not charge admission fees, approximately 800 idle fans came to watch the game. It also includes a group of family and friends of young players, but the group with the largest number is undoubtedly the Chinese people with yellow skin and black hair. Although Chu Fong is only in the youth team, due to his outstanding performance and Manchester United's huge traffic, his popularity in China is not low. The kickoff time is set for 7 p.m. Huaxia. Huya platform, sports classification, a certain live broadcast room. Today's English Premier League B is being broadcasted live on MUTV. Which one would you like to watch? Stop cursing, I'll find out about the Manchester United game. The anchor smiled and tricked Bo Donmu before switching to the already prepared interface. Brothers, I heard that Chu Fong has a chance to get a first-team contract this year. Is it true or not? I hope it's true. We don't seem to have any players playing in the top 5 leagues yet. Even if it goes up, what's the use? Is Dong Fangzhua's example not enough? Sigh, he once carried hope and ventured into England alone, but as a result. It's different. Dong's transfer has been influenced by his personality, emotional intelligence, language, cultural differences, and lack of a professional team. Of course, the most crucial thing is that he lacks self-discipline. Chu Fong came out of the youth training system without too many obstacles, and I think he can play. The competition is starting. Damn it, why did McTominay grow taller again? Does anyone else invest in gold beans? The market is about to be closed. Don't blame me for not reminding you, West Ham United's youth team is very strong, and winning against Manchester United is definitely easy. Oh, Rice, beautiful interception. After being abandoned by Chelsea's youth academy, this kid's strength has been slowly increasing. It is estimated that he will be promoted to the first team when the Premier League starts. Don't believe it, maybe you are watching the future, Mr. Billion Yuan competition. Rice passed the ball to the teammate who received it from the side. Then continue to advance and throw yourself into the attack in the front field. His thinking is very clear, creating space for threatening passes by combining continuous passes with tearing the opponent's defense. At the same time, Manchester United players quickly withdrew. Chu Fong is no exception, retreating near the midfield line. Because Mourinho has high requirements for attacking players to participate in defense, no matter how big your card is, it cannot be an exception. This planted the fuse for the later conflict between Pogba and Mourinho. Rice has strong organizational skills. Several consecutive short passes made a tear in the opponent's left rib area. A 30-meter area. Rice received a pass from her teammate again and made a decisive move. Pop. Football is like a sharp surgical knife, precisely inserted into the void. West Ham United's young player Keana's flexible movement emerged from the blind spot on the back waistline of the Manchester United youth team. Beautiful pass. Do you know what Keana's nickname is? Cristiano Ronaldo's successor. Keana dribbled and turned around. The movements were incredibly graceful, evading the space and swinging the right leg directly. I wiped it, what kind of luck. It hit the crossbeam. Goalkeeper Ki Lung held the football with lingering fear when he suddenly heard a familiar voice and threw the ball over without hesitation. Due to the West Hamland youth team's main attack leaning towards the left side, the overall formation will also shift towards the same side, resulting in a weakened defensive strength on the right side. After observing it, Chu Fong immediately adjusted his position and prepared for a quick counterattack. Amidst scattered cheers, Manchester United's young players rushed frantically towards the opponent's half. If you don't leave, you will be killed with one strike. Chu Fong steadily unloaded the ball and immediately turned around to drive it forward. He is very good at dribbling, but his speed is average, so he passes the ball towards the center. Gomez did not forget the coach's arrangement. Collaborating with McTominay colliding with the wall in front, the left winger of the West Hamland youth team took over as a defensive midfielder and split again. Manchester United's counterattack is very smooth. Mourinho's training was very successful, they are pushing forward in the simplest way possible. On the side of the court, teaching assistant Faria's face remained unchanged. He remembered Mourinho's instructions, his eyes slightly wavering as he locked onto the figure. Can you create surprises? West Ham United youth team fullback Luis did not hesitate and fiercely pounced. He knows Asian players very well. With just a little pressure, they will become flustered and unable to hold the ball. He has even figured out the attacking strategy after stealing. Collaborate with Rice in the middle and continue to insert the edge forward as the two get closer and closer. Chu Fong is moving. The body sways rapidly. The rhythm and coherence are impeccable, like an unbeatable death pendulum. Lewis's center of gravity only showed a slight shift. Chu Fong immediately dribbled the ball to the opposite side. The football slides out a beautiful arc, which is unattainable. Holy crap, the pendulum style is amazing. Chu Fong continues to move forward. Near the bottom line, make a decisive reverse triangle pass. Due to West Ham United centre-back coming out, the space at the front of the small penalty area was exposed. Dean was unmarked and effortlessly pushed the ball into the goal. The old stadium, with its rudimentary stands, instantly erupted into a wave of noise. Live streaming room. I've fed the cake to my throat, my grandmother can even score it on stage. It's unbelievable that Manchester United has taken the lead. Your golden beans may be gone. This pendulum is amazing, it's so perfect. Chu Feng's progress is visible to the naked eye. Delightful and eye-catching, there is no fault in timing or skill. Manchester United is currently in short supply of breakthrough wingers, and if Chu Feng can continue to maintain his position, he can definitely enter the first team. Don't worry, the future Mr. Billion Yuan Rice hasn't played yet, we will level up and overtake later. After scoring a goal, Dean looked at Chu Feng somewhat unexpectedly. The two of them work together for different days and are very familiar with each other's technical characteristics. Although Chu Feng's dribbling technique is very strong, it is also too easy, and the instantaneous touch of the ball makes people feel very perfect. But he still shouted happily, "Well done. Chu, I will insert into the top of the arc in the penalty area later, and if there is a chance, I will pass the ball." McTominay quietly approached, her tone filled with anticipation. Don't forget that your main task is defense. If Mr. Faria sees it, he will definitely give you another lesson. Chu Feng shook his head and reminded. McTominay's expression collapsed. In the Manchester United youth team, the responsibilities of each player will be clearly defined, and it is best not to arrogantly overstep them. And Mourinho has said more than once that he needs players with high execution and clear positioning. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Young Eagles Spreading Wings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Young Eagles Spreading Wings. In fact, Chu Feng's previous dribbling style was a bit flashy because young people always like to express themselves in the outside world, hoping to gain more recognition. But now he is starting to consciously change this bad habit. The future development of football will inevitably lean toward simplicity and efficiency, constantly improving offensive and defensive efficiency, while players who procrastinate and stick to the ball will only be eliminated. On the side of the court, Faria's expression was complex. The powerful pendulum breakthrough just now seemed to shatter time, reminding him of the days of Barcelona. However, as a professional coach, he understands that Chu Feng's handling of details is more commendable than his breakthrough ability. The lack of sticky balls in the early stages hinders the efficiency of counterattacks, while the running coordination in the middle stage and the final inverted triangle pass are all manifestations of excellent ball players. It seems that I have really found treasure. The circle reopened during the competition. Chu Feng did not show any proud performance and still participated in defense honestly, conscientiously fulfilling the tasks assigned by the coach before the game. Everyone has desires in their hearts. Rebirth, his desire is to take a different path from before and create a brand new future. First, enter the first team. The attack of West Ham United's young players has become increasingly fierce, as they have come all the way from London and are unwilling to return with failure. Luis had a resentful expression on his face. I was careless just now. I didn't physically confront him in time, which was why that Huaxia kid successfully launched a surprise attack. Next time, absolutely not the next time. I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, but the West Ham United youth team pointed their attack towards the right flank. In a narrow area, form a multi-person cutting team and use edge-to-edge integration to quickly advance. Chu Feng glanced at his teammates and decisively chose to retreat, keeping the overall formation intact. High emotional intelligence. Forming a tight defensive chain. Low emotional intelligence. Take a bus. Faria is very familiar with Mourinho and has inherited a streamlined 1.0 philosophy, emphasizing defense and game focus. Under this philosophy, the team will go all out to defend this advantage and no longer focus on offense when they achieve a leading position. Everyone has different opinions on this. Some people believe it is the key to the championship, while others believe it will destroy football. The West Ham United youth team quickly took control of most of the area and launched a continuous siege with the determination not to equalize the score. But if you win, you won't score. Although it holds an absolute advantage, it cannot create a real threat. Faria also made targeted adjustments, allowing Chu Feng to take the center from the sidelines and work with Gomez to defend Rice, limiting the key core of West Ham United's youth team. This is too boring. However, when there is a gap in overall strength, using a bus is indeed the best way, but it can be a bit of a torture for the audience. Chu Feng's defensive ability is average. However, his running is very active, making up for some of his shortcomings. To be honest, the quality of most national team players is not as good as Chu Feng's. Last month's World Cup Asian budget match, although China drew 2-2 with Syria. But I can clearly feel their solidification in terms of thinking. On the field, they are like walking dead, and the entire kicking form is rigid, without any fighting spirit. I don't know when I will be able to enter the knockout stage of the World Cup again. The anchor chattered on and on. Due to the poor results and performance of the Chinese national team, the majority of fans are disheartened and no longer rely on the players currently playing football. But instead, he turned his gaze to the young general. Otherwise, as the main winger of the Chu Feng Manchester United youth team, it is impossible to attract a lot of attention. As time goes by, the situation on the green field has not changed in any way. Under the multiplayer defense, Rice couldn't even touch the ball, let alone organize the attack. The mood of the young players of West Ham United gradually became impatient, and they began to try long-range shots and cross from the sidelines, hoping to use the opponent's mistakes or luck to open up the situation. The 43rd minute of the competition. West Ham United's youth team winger shook Mitchell off and crossed near the baseline. But due to interference, the quality of the ball was not high, and it was cleared by Manchester United youth team centre-back Tuanzebe with a header. Excellent counterattack opportunity. McTominay's stature is not wide, he forcefully pouted his butt backwards to push away the defensive player who was close to him. Then control the second landing point and cushion the ball towards the right side with your back. And Mitchell, who had just been knocked out, could just take advantage of the situation and launch a counterattack. Amidst the cheers of hundreds of fans, Manchester United's young players poured out, forming an unstoppable red tide. Mitchell was very fast and quickly crossed the midfield. He looked up to observe the position of his teammates. Centre Dinley and right winger Harlop were heavily guarded and did not have suitable passing routes. Feedback. He thinks it's better to be cautious. After all, there are many examples of not being able to counterattack, and if you easily lose the ball, you may have to be scolded by the coach. But he is unwilling to give up the excellent opportunity to expand the score. Suddenly, he saw a familiar figure running wildly, his old rival. The footage of the previous training match flashed rapidly. Mitchell no longer hesitated and kicked the football hard with the back of his foot. Bang! The football draws beautiful curves. Centre Dean leaped high, attracting the attention of most defensive players. Actually, the football swept over his head and fell to the front of the penalty area. Chu Feng seized the opportunity and shot out like an arrow leaving a string. Single cut. Hey, the passing power is a bit strong. West Ham United's youth team goalkeeper Edison was very decisive in his attack. Who can touch the football first? Old Stadium. Hundreds of fans nervously held their breath, feeling like they were watching the Champions League final. The convergence point of countless gazes. Chu Feng adjusted his posture and slowed down slightly. Edison was overjoyed and made a standard fall posture, diving horizontally towards the football. At a critical moment, Chu Feng suddenly lifted his right foot upwards, and then he jumped up. Like a soaring eagle spreading its wings. Edison's pupils contracted suddenly. But his center of gravity was completely shifted, and he could only watch Chu Feng fly over him with the ball. A thought couldn't help but arise in his mind: is this TM a youth team player? The next step is very simple. Balance your body and push through the empty door. As the football slowly rolled into the goal, hundreds of Manchester United fans cheered excitedly, witnessing the outstanding performance of their own young players, making their blood boil uncontrollably. Chu Feng's delicate face was covered in excitement, and he waved his arm vigorously. Although it was just a goal in the English Premier League, it had a different meaning for him. Manchester United's young players gathered around to celebrate this exciting goal. Chu Feng turned around and shouted loudly, "Your passing is great." Mitchell was very proud, snorted lightly, and turned back to his position. A certain sports live broadcast room. I didn't read it wrong, did I? This dribbling pass is so beautiful. The anchors seem to have discovered a new continent, shouting and shouting regardless of their image. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Starting a small stove. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Starting a small stove on the side of the court. Faria wrote various data on the tactical board and murmured to himself, the skill of passing the ball in the end is stronger than most young team players, mainly because of the calm handling of the ball by that kid, which is really surprising. As an old-fashioned coach who has been in the industry for decades, he is able to infer the player's basic skills, ball sense, and ball quality from details. Moreover, due to Mitchell's slightly stronger passing ability, he had no hope of scoring goals, but who would have thought that Chu Feng could make an imaginative dribbling pass? But with their current performance, they are not yet qualified to enter the first team. Kid, how many more surprises can you bring me? At the same time. North America. The International Champions League. Barcelona vs Manchester United. Just 3 minutes into the game, Manchester United created an excellent scoring opportunity. Rashford made a breakthrough on the right side, a low flat ball was passed diagonally into the penalty area, and Lukaku's left flank shot over the crossbar. The pace of the upcoming game is completely controlled by Barcelona. MSN, with Messi as the core, frequently plays perfect coordination and constantly creates threats in the attacking third zone. The 12th minute of the competition. Messi received a pass from his teammate in the middle and took a dreamy dance step, passing through Pogba and Carrick consecutively. Cut inward to the top of the penalty area arc and decisively take a long-range shot. The football slid out in a huge arc, hitting the right pillar and popping out. He broke out in a cold sweat and looked helplessly at his teammate. If the angle of rotation of this ball is further inward, it will be an absolute dead angle. Even if I can react, I won't have time to throw the ball out. Mourinho wrapped his hands around his chest and had a cold expression on his face. He is extremely dissatisfied with the performance of Manchester United players. Since Barcelona won the Champions League in the 14.15 season, their performance has been continuously declining and they have never advanced to the semi-finals again. The strongest players in football today are Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, and Juventus. But since he wants to lead Manchester United back to the top, if even the weak Barcelona cannot be defeated, how can he even get involved in the Champions League? With the opening of the summer transfer window, Mourinho is looking forward to Manchester United signing Bale or Perisic, who are experienced and can enhance the team's impact and speed on the sidelines. But Manchester United has already spent €130 million to bring in Matic and Lukaku, with nothing in their pockets. At most, they can buy some little Calami. Intense cheers rang out, and Mourinho turned his gaze to the green field, frowning. Mkhitaryan broke through on the sidelines. Alba leaned directly in and squeezed hard. Mkhitaryan's feet were in disarray, and Alba decisively completed the steal and directly passed a long pass to find Messi. The latter steadily unloaded the ball, shook it with a heavy shoulder, shook away the approaching Carrick, and then delivered a precise straight shot. Neymar approached Valencia from the side and pushed a shot into the far corner to score. 1-0, Barcelona took the lead in scoring the goal. Mourinho let out a silent sigh. In the 15.16 season, Mkhitaryan's incredible record of 23 goals and 32 assists in Borussia Dortmund naturally caught the attention of many clubs. I am no exception, so last season he spent €42 million to bring the strong German winger back to Old Trafford. But to my surprise, when Mukhtar first arrived in the Premier League, he was not accustomed to the local conditions. As long as the opponent slightly confronts, he will transform into air, with no sense of existence. Perhaps it is a common problem among Bundesliga players, where their technical skills are not outstanding and their speed and strength are at a disadvantage. Another winger, Martial, cannot provide sustained explosive points on the wing due to his background as a centre-forward. In Mourinho's pre-set tactical system, a concise and fast counterattack not only requires Ibrahimovic's ball, but also relies on the acceleration of the sidelines. The final match ended 1-0, with Barcelona defeating Manchester United. Old Stadium. The game is coming to an end. The Manchester United youth team holds a 2-goal lead and continues to maintain full-staff defense, building a tight city wall in the center and back. Facing unreasonable buses. The young players of West Ham United constantly change their attacking strategies, but they have never been able to achieve effective results. And they also need to be careful of their opponents' counterattacks. Manchester United's young players are very intelligent, they quickly shift to the left after taking the ball and seek Chu Fong for a quick counterattack. Therefore, the West Ham United youth team is wary of pushing forward too much. Their core Rice also instinctively leaned towards the same side to assist Lewis in defense. There's no way a person can't resist it at all. So their attack intensity inevitably decreases, let alone creating too much threat. Bored to the core. However, Chu Feng's performance is really good, and I hope he can enter the first team as soon as possible. Towards the end of the competition, the West Ham United youth team received a left corner kick. Rice lifted his foot and passed it backwards, but due to Tuanzebe's missed defense, the unmarked Kina seized the opportunity to header and score, helping the team regain a city. But there was too little time left, and when the referee blew the whistle for the end of the game, the score remained at 2-1. The Manchester United youth team achieved a long-awaited victory. Chu Fong followed his teammates and bowed to the audience on the sidelines. For these young players, the happiest thing is to gain the support of the fans. Chu, I understand everything now. Your skills are just like my height, and at a certain point in time, they will automatically improve. McTominay showed a sudden realization expression and said with a smile. Well, you're right. Chu Fong echoes the Tao. You can't say you're cheating, can you? However, the age range of 18.23 is indeed a period of rapid growth, with explosive growth in both physical and technical aspects. Of course, in reality, there are also players who are late bloomers, wandering in low-level leagues in the early stages and suddenly awakening in the later stages. For example, Diego Milito and Valde 1 hour later. Carrington Training Base. Throughout the game, our frontal defense was done very well, covering most of the central area, and everyone's performance was also excellent. But don't be complacent, there are still many areas where you need to improve, such as lack of coordination in defense and lack of decisiveness in attacking. Faria pointed to the tactical board and resumed the game. How to train excellent young players, the most important thing is to set standards and help them develop good playing habits. Therefore, post-match summary has become particularly important. Alright, that's all for today. Remember to stretch and rest when you go back. Chu, you'll stay later. I have something to tell you. Faria took a sip of water and said in a deep voice. Okay, Mr. Faria. Chu Fong raised his eyebrows. Are you trying to start a small stove for yourself? McTominay grinned and secretly gestured to cheer, wishing his friend the favor of a teaching assistant. After the team members left, there were only 2 people left in the spacious room. Faria took out his laptop and slowly spoke up, Chu, I don't hide it either. As your strength has improved rapidly recently, Rose is very interested in you. Chu Feng's heart instantly quickened and he sat up straight, pretending to listen attentively. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Assessment tasks for entering the first team. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 8 Assessment tasks for entering the first team. Your performance today was also excellent, but we are still a bit short of our requirements. I have created a new training plan for you and will send it to your email later. Mainly to improve hip joint flexibility, burst speed and relative speed, as well as physical resistance. There is still half a month left until the start of the new season, and although there may not be much effect in the short term, I still hope that you can seriously complete this plan. 2 weeks later, we will assess the youth team and determine the list of personnel who will enter the first team. Faria smiled and clicked on the file on the desktop. To be honest, he is optimistic about Chu Feng's talent. That delicate ball feeling cannot be fake, and it is not something that can be achieved with good form. Moreover, Manchester United currently lacks breakthrough wingers. If Chu Feng can meet the minimum requirements of the coaching staff, he is willing to let the opponent enter the first team. Moreover, using matches as a substitute for training is the fastest way to improve, and last season's Rushford was a living example. Chu Feng carefully browsed through it. A detailed targeted training plan. Are you really starting a small stove? Mr. Faria, don't worry, I will train strictly according to the plan. Then I'll leave first. Chu Feng quickly stood up and expressed his gratitude. He is well aware of the gap between the Premier League B and the Premier League, as well as the gap between himself and the first team members, so he is prepared to stay in the reserve team for another 6 months. But I didn't expect Mourinho's coaching staff to be willing to give him a chance. We must catch it. Besides, I am someone who has a system around me. Not only can 6-dimensional attributes be quickly increased through training, but there is also a more mature mindset. For half a month, he believed he could move Mourinho. Oh, there's something I forgot to tell you. The Chinese Football Association has invited you to return to China to participate in the national games, but this is not an international A-level event, so I suggest you refuse. As Chu Feng was about to push the door and leave, Faria's voice suddenly sounded. Okay, I will reject them. Chu Feng was stunned for a moment and answered firmly. Faria nodded lightly. He has seen many talented players who, due to participating in a large number of useless matches, suffer injuries or affect their competitive performance, ultimately ruining their personal career. But Chu Feng did not have the simplicity he imagined, but instead had a steadiness that surpassed his peers. In his opinion, people like Chu Feng are more likely to succeed. Chu Feng returned to the dormitory and took a shower, then opened his book and began self-study. Because today's game started at 7 p.m. and ended close to 9 p.m. So he took a day off from the teachers at Barlow RC High School. But the learning task cannot be let go. He is still preparing to go to college. There are many talented students in the professional football circle, such as Chiellini with a master's degree in economics, Iniesta with a master's degree in sports, Costa with a master's degree in business administration, and so on. 2 hours later. Chu Feng yawned, closed his book, and boredly opened the system, ready to see how much his attribute value had increased. Suddenly, a cold mechanical sound sounded. Main task activation. After 15 days of assessment, enter Manchester United's first team. Task reward. Gold module treasure chest. Due to the host activating the task for the first time, the task reward level is automatically raised to gold. Reward explanation. The treasure chest is divided into 4 levels. Bronze, Gold, Platinum, and Legend. Chu Feng lay in bed, carefully studying the system panel. Is the triggering condition for the task active or passive? What is the function of a module? Quickly improve attributes through training, or add special skills. Chu Feng shook his head, suppressing his excitement. His doubts will definitely come to light after the task is completed. There is no need to be too conflicted. Besides, although the system is very important for improving talents, one's own efforts are also indispensable. It is important to focus on training first. Late at night. The video of the match between Manchester United's youth team and West Ham United's youth team has become popular and widely circulated in the Chinese football circle. Chiba, Hupu, forum countless people are passionately discussing. Because the land was too desolate, a cluster of thriving saplings suddenly emerged, which naturally attracted a lot of attention. But most of it is still mockery. Is it true or false that our country can still produce excellent players? There must be some, but most of them have been buried, such as running takeout, doing proxy driving, and writing novels. Sigh, there used to be many genius youths, but didn't they disappear from the crowd later on? Question first. Playing in the English Premier League B League, it's frustrating. Chu Feng went to Manchester United's youth training at his own expense, but he has played for 5 years and has not yet made it to the first team. It is estimated that he will only be able to return to the Chinese Super League to make money in the future. You don't need to mock, Chu Feng is already very good. Whether it's dribbling or consciousness, they are quite spiritual. The next day. All sounds are silent. In the thin white morning mist, the young man's back was faintly visible. For morning aerobic training, start by jogging 2 kilometers to warm up, and then run 5 kilometers at 60% maximum heart rate. Strength training, speed endurance training, ball training, tactical courses. Chu Feng strictly implements the plan. Are you tired or not? Of course I'm tired. But compared to being unable to play football and being eliminated in despair, it's countless times better. And watching his various attributes continue to grow every day gives him a sense of fulfillment. At the same time. Training base head coach's office. Mourinho, with silver hair all over his head, stood by the window, his tablet playing an edited video. Pendulum surpasses people, ball picks surpass people. He suddenly felt that the boy on the training ground was like a pure white paper with strong plasticity. The players he likes may not necessarily have exceptional talents, but they must be very hardworking and able to accurately evaluate their strength and condition. For example, Inter Milan's Thornton, Chelsea's Eschen, Manchester United's Rushford and Lingard, but players like Pogba, he really can't stand it. Although my personal strength is very outstanding, I am very lazy in the game, unwilling to participate in defense, and lack team spirit. The training attitude on weekdays is even worse. Mourinho put down his tablet and raised his lips slightly, looking forward to the youth team assessment in half a month. Time passes through boring training. Chu Feng lived the days of training ground, dormitory, and school 3 o'clock line. Regular comprehensive physical examinations are required to prevent injuries and illnesses caused by excessive training. During this period, his technical level has been continuously improving, and his various attributes have also been correspondingly improved. It has to be said that the targeted plan developed by the coaching staff is very useful. Chu Feng could clearly feel his movements becoming more relaxed and smooth. However, it was tough for McTominay. Faria assigned him and Chu Feng to the same group and had to train early and late every day, which has led to a significant increase in his appetite recently. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Explosive: the opposite side for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Explosive: the opposite side for me. August 11th. Carrington Training Base, bustling with activity. After discussion by the coaching staff, it was decided to use another method for selection. Mess up Manchester United's first team and youth team players to form 2 different teams for a regular official match. The final list will be determined based on the performance of each young team member, combined with their previous training results. On the side of the court, Mourinho held the tactical board and muttered in a deep voice. Red team: Matic, Ibrahimovic, McTominay, and Chu. White team: Pogba, Valencia, Rashford, Lukaku, Gomez. The personnel configuration of the 2 teams is not much different, and the main gameplay is based on what I just said. I hope everyone can take today's game seriously. Also, this game is not just a selection match for the youth team. If the first team player's performance does not meet my expectations, then at the beginning of the season, you will have to sit on the bench and even be relegated to the second team. Chu Feng nodded at the words to show understanding. From Mourinho's grouping, it can be seen that the strength of the two teams is indeed very balanced, and both are in line with Manchester United's mainstream tactics. There will be no one-sided situation. Come over here, let me talk about the next arrangements. McTominay, you go to the back of the waist position. That Asian kid, go to the left side and pay attention to my position when attacking, running around me and cutting forward. Young men, you should be very excited to play football with me. Now, we are a group, everyone get up and give me a shot on the opposite side. Ibrahimovic gathered the young players together and gave a passionate speech. Undoubtedly, he is the great Feng Xian. This domineering and unparalleled declaration makes people's blood boil uncontrollably. Chu Feng smiled and responded, then ran towards his position. He thinks it's good to be able to get together with Ibrahimovic, not just because of the idol aura, but purely because playing football with Ibrahimovic is very simple. Just need to launch an attack around Ibrahimovic to create a great threat to the opponent. The most important thing is to facilitate one's own performance. He can dribble into the goal, or use Ibrahimovic's ball to quickly advance and create scoring opportunities. He is well aware that Manchester United currently lacks explosive points on the wings, and today he needs to leverage his strengths and avoid weaknesses, and show his breakthrough ability as much as possible. On the other hand, the white team. Pogba looked carefree, his eyes almost lifted to the sky, and his face was full of disdain. Lukaku touched his shiny head and stood there foolishly. After all the preparation work was completed, as the referee blew a sharp whistle, the team selection match officially began. After the white team kicked off, they tore at the opponent's defense by continuously passing and cutting. The game has only been 3 minutes past. Pogba received a pass from his teammate near the midfield and cleverly pulled and pushed it backwards, easily avoiding McTominay's steal. His talent is beyond doubt. Pass the ball. Rashford ran out of the empty space and loudly demanded the ball. But Pogba ignored it at all and continued to carry the ball forward on his own. The speed of Gomez's side defense is very fast, directly engaging in close combat and interfering with the opponent's ball control. Bang! The sound of intense physical impact rang out. Gomez fell to the ground with a thud. Not at all heavyweight. In the blink of an eye. Pogba advanced to the hinterland and decisively pulled out his foot to shoot angrily. The football headed straight towards the right side of the goal. At critical moments, De Gea pounced and blocked the ball out of the baseline. Pretty Chu Feng was running back and couldn't help but shout when he saw De Gea's brilliant save. On the side of the court, Mourinho's face was gloomy, with dissatisfaction in his eyes. What is the most critical ability of the lower back? The spirit of self-sacrifice. But Pogba is a self-centered performance-oriented personality player who always shows off irregularly. If it's in the front court or on the sidelines, that's completely understandable. However, Pogba often shows up in his own hinterland and can be very deadly if he is intercepted. Moreover, it is clear that the teammate has already run out of the empty space. Mourinho began to ponder the feasibility of placing Pogba on the bench. Don't let the opponent easily shoot from a long distance, intercept early in midfield, and cooperate with teammates for defense. De Gea clapped his hands hard, reminding his own players. The competition has restarted. White team's corner kick. Rashford passes towards the vicinity of the penalty spot. Lukaku grabbed a bit, but with the interference of Tuanzebe, he was unable to hit the doorframe range. Perhaps everyone was scared by Mourinho's words and was trying their best to demonstrate their role, with a very serious attitude. Chu Feng also experienced the strength of the Premier League. Every minute and every second is intense hand-to-hand combat, and one must always remain vigilant and pay attention to the situation around them. So he didn't get too good a chance either. The situation immediately fell into a stalemate, with the ball rights constantly overlapping. The 16th minute of the competition. Pogba repeated his old skills and broke through from the middle. If it weren't for Mourinho's forced request, I would never have participated in today's game. Isn't it good to have time to get a new hairstyle or learn witchcraft? So he felt a sense of frustration in his heart and wanted to take the opportunity to vent it. Besides, it's just a group of young team members who can live whatever they want. Therefore, his dribbling movements are somewhat casual. McTominay's eyes lit up and he decisively reached out to snatch it. Pogba suddenly flicked his right foot outward. The football slid over from the side of McTominay. But someone is faster. Matic. He grabbed the gap after Pogba touched the ball and snatched it up as quickly as lightning. First-class interception capability. After Matic completed the steal, without any hesitation, he passed the ball directly to the left wing. Excellent passing vision. Mourinho squinted his eyes and looked at the black-haired boy. Chu Feng quickly turned around and saw Valencia rushing towards him, probably not wanting to easily catch the ball. Clear thoughts seemed to emerge in his mind. Valencia's speed is very fast. Although Chu Feng is not highly valued, it is not taken lightly as there are many examples of capsizing in the sewer. He doesn't want to leave a bad impression on Mourinho. Because of this, Chu Feng quickly adjusted his pace, pretending to step towards the left with his left foot and facing the ball inward. As expected, Valencia changed direction and reached out to steal. At the moment of touching the ball, Chu Feng twisted his body to the right. The whole person brushed past Valencia. Free-spirited and free-spirited. Valencia's dark face was filled with surprise. Although my defensive level is not high, I am one of the 4 Dark Kings of Manchester United, and my own strength is definitely sufficient. Unexpectedly being swayed away by young team members. And on the sidelines of the court at this moment. The frost on Mourinho's face instantly dissipated and he asked incredulously, compared to 2 weeks ago, Chu's strength has improved by a little more. He was not shocked by Chu Feng's brilliance, but by the terrifying speed of his strength enhancement. Boss, this kid's training attitude is very serious and he often practices more. Assistant coach Faria quickly seized the opportunity and said something nice. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Truth and Falsity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Truth and Falsity between two people talking. Valencia quickly chased back. He wants to retrieve the venue. There's someone behind you. Ibrahimovic ran and shouted. Due to the deep pressure in front of Pogba, a large void appeared in the left rib area. Chu Feng decisively struck the middle road horizontally. Ibrahimovic's big knife was already starving and thirsty. Swiftly dribbling past, avoiding Phil Jones's steals. He is already 36 years old and his running ability has significantly decreased. But it doesn't affect that he is Manchester United's thickest thigh. Last season, he made 21 appearances and scored 12 goals and provided 3 assists for Manchester United, leading the other players significantly. Before joining Manchester United, he said, "I admire Cantona very much. I have heard what he said, but I will not become the king of Manchester United. I will become the god of Manchester United." And as he grew older, he gradually changed his playing style, no longer being at the forefront, but serving as a hub for transferring the ball in the middle. Ibrahimovic tilted his body slightly and landed sharply on the left side of the penalty area. Pop. The football quickly rolled against the grass. The breeze in Manchester blows the black hair of the youth, and drops of crystal clear sweat fall from the hair. Kieran's attack speed is very fast. He is full of confidence in his own strength. As long as you can stop this single strike, there is a possibility of winning Mourinho's favor and reaching the pinnacle of life. But then, his movements became obscure. Due to the Chu wind in front of me, my left and right feet kept moving, causing my upper body to shake like a violently shaking pendulum. Real. False. No, every fake action of virtual shaking can turn into a real action at any time. Unable to predict, Kieran's heart was palpitating. He gritted his teeth and rushed towards the right side with a lottery mentality. Under dozens of expectant gazes, Chu Feng's weakness turns into reality, with his right foot pulled outward. Assistant coach Faria opened his mouth wide, and the softness of his touch on the ball was incredibly beautiful. He can no longer distinguish whether the foot is controlling the ball or the ball is leading the foot. Kieran fell weakly to the ground and arched his hand to give way to the goal behind him. Chu Feng did not engage in flashy maneuvers, but steadily pushed and scored points. 1-0. The red team scored the first goal. Ibrahimovic covered his head in shock, his eyes changing from calm to eager. Who is his idol? The Luo. Even though he once said, "I am second under God," even though he is so rebellious. But when seeing Dalai Lama, he still openly expresses admiration and appreciation. And the Pendulum just now had an unparalleled visual impact, causing my soul to tremble and recalling the scene of competing with the Luo. Asian kid, you did a great job. Are you Japanese or Korean? Ibu excitedly walked forward and tightly grasped Chu Feng's shoulder. Cough, be gentle, Chu Feng almost choked with his throat locked. Ibrahimovic felt a bit embarrassed and quickly let go of his hand. I thought to myself that this little brother is a bit too thin and weak without playing. I'll take him to practice taekwondo when I have time. I don't expect to become a tough guy like myself, but at least I need to become stronger, otherwise it will be difficult to establish a foothold in the Premier League, and Mukhtar is an example of a leading player. I'm from China, but I don't know Kung Fu. Chu Feng took a breath and made a joke along the way. As for one's nationality, he has nothing to hide. The general impression from the outside world is that only Japanese and Koreans can play football well in Asia. But now I have a system that can increase my talent limit. Why can't he change the minds of most people? Although it may not necessarily become as powerful as the Football King, there is absolutely no problem crushing the Japanese and Korean players in the 5 major leagues. Huaxia is quite good. When I was at AC Milan, I often met Huaxia fans who were very enthusiastic and friendly. Ibrahimovic has no concept of racial discrimination. He is a second-generation immigrant to Sweden and was once described by hostile fans as a gypsy. In the eyes of Europeans, gypsies are seen as scammers who do not integrate into society, do not work, and exploit loopholes in government welfare. Some people who are hurt may choose to become perpetrators. And the other people finally, Ibrahimovic added, it's okay if you don't know Kung Fu. Follow me to practice Taekwondo in the future, and I promise you won't be bullied again. Okay. Chu Feng answered with a smile. On the side of the court, Mourinho kept writing and drawing in his notebook, muttering incessantly. Skilled dribbling skills, extremely fast reaction speed, and excellent tactical awareness, although still immature, are already very good to cultivate. But what I love the most is Chu's calmness that doesn't match his age. At his age, I feel nervous when it comes to singles. The shock on teaching assistant Faria's face faded and turned into suspicion. Boss, didn't your playing career involve playing in midfield? And to be honest, your technical level is average, so you can play as a starter in the Chinese Super League. However, he didn't dare to say these words face. Boss, you're not the same type of player as Chu. You have stronger organizational and leadership abilities. Hee. Mourinho glanced contemptuously at his old friend. What do I still not know about myself? The competition has restarted. Pogba realized his mistake and suddenly felt a bit embarrassed and angry, but he was not greatly affected. On the contrary, he was even more cautious in handling the ball and did not easily lose possession of the ball. Valencia had a hint of regret. My performance just now definitely made the head coach unhappy, so my attention was highly focused and constantly focused on Chu Feng. As long as the latter has a tendency to take the ball, immediately get close to the front top to interfere, without giving the opponent any room to turn around. Step back another 5 meters and stand in the key area of the middle and back court. If the steal fails, don't stand still, turn around and grab back in time. Matic constantly commands. The 36th minute of the competition. Chu Feng withdrew to catch the ball. But before advancing much, they were met with the coordinated defense of Valencia and Herrera. For safety reasons, he could only choose to pass back and have his teammates reorganize the attack. Inside him is a more mature soul, no longer like before, always mindless personal breakthroughs to attract the attention of others. At present, our side has a leading advantage. As long as we firmly control the ball, the opponent is the one who should be anxious. As long as a person is anxious, they will show their flaws, which will be the best opportunity. Mourinho nodded without leaving a trace when he saw it. Most of the time in football matches is dull, and the era of attacking in the past has passed. Now efficiency is king, putting the focus of the game on one's own half, forcing the opponent to push on. Then, taking advantage of the empty space behind the opponent's defense line, gather into a formation and launch a counterattack with lightning speed. From a more grand perspective, it is about precise control of football and improving the speed of attack and defense conversion. He became increasingly curious about what kind of experience would make Chu Feng so mature and calm. As time passed, the first half of the game ended quickly. The score remains at 1-0. P.S. Thank you to the book friend, Jasmine Yuhan, for giving a 2000-point coin reward, and thank you to the book friend, I am an unstoppable stone person, for giving a 500-point coin reward. Thank you very much. The author will do their best to update and create works that satisfy everyone. End of this chapter.